Hey Charles, my name is Jordan, which is kind of annoying this question, but now that LeBron is the all-time leading scorer in NBA history with over 39,000 point careers, also ranking top 5 in assists and still climbing rankings in rebounds, blocks, and steals, all while consistently playing 20-plus seasons at an elite level for an old man, winning 4 championships, 4 MVPs, and making 19 All-NBA teams. Who is better, Jordan or LeBron?
You know, those are some incredible stats.
They are.
Those are some incredible stats. I'm never going to say anything bad about LeBron, I told you. I think he's the 3rd best player I've ever seen play after Michael and Kobe.
Why is ring culture so much more prevalent in the NBA than in other sports?
Yeah, it's funny, I don't know. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything.
But you have to really play hard. Does that hurt you physically?
No, because when I play hard all the time. You know, there's no turn it on here, turn it off here. It's just 110% all.
A diehard LeBron James supporter once approached Charles Barkley convinced he had finally solved the greatest of all time debate. He came armed with every statistic, every trophy, and every argument he could find. In his mind, the numbers were unbeatable proof. Confidence sky high, he believed the discussion was already over before it even started. But Barkley's response flipped the entire narrative on its head and exposed the weakness in relying on stats alone. The case built purely on analytics falls apart the moment it meets someone who actually lived through both eras. This wasn't just another hot take from a talking head looking for clicks. Barkley battled Michael Jordan in his prime and later watched LeBron's career unfold up close as an analyst, giving him a perspective few people on earth can match. He had no agenda, just first-hand experience. And by the time he finished explaining his view, it was clear the argument had shifted. The room understood something deeper. Greatness can't be fully measured by charts and box scores. In that moment, the entire GOAT conversation took on a whole new meaning.
LeBron, I'm not going to say anything bad about him. He didn't go to college for 3 years. You have to factor that in also. He had a 3-year head start on Michael. Okay, since you want me that. So, I'm gonna just give a couple of things about, if he wanted to do it fair, he would say, well, how many games did Michael Jordan play compared to...
Imagine the scene. Barkley is in the middle of a live fan question session when a man walks up to the microphone, and fittingly, his name is Jordan, which only made the whole situation funnier. From the second he started talking, it was obvious he didn't come empty-handed. He carried himself like a lawyer ready to deliver a final, unbeatable statement. Then the numbers started pouring out. More than 40,000 career points, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, ranked among the top 5 in assists, and still climbing the list in rebounds, steals, and blocks. Over 2 decades of dominance, 22 seasons at an elite level, 4 championships, 4 MVP awards, and 21 All-NBA honors. Just looking at the resume, it sounded overwhelming. You could feel the reaction in the room because, at first glance, that list of achievements seems impossible to argue against.
And actually, if you look at the numbers, Michael actually had 5,000 more points in his career, same number of games. 5,000, which is 2.5 NBA seasons. But you have to factor in, Michael went to college for 3 years. And if you remember, he broke his foot his first year, and he retired for 2 years. So if Michael went to the NBA 3 years sooner, not missed his rookie year with a broken foot, and not retired for 2 years, he would be the all-time leading scorer.
How can anyone challenge a player who sits at the very top of the scoring list while also ranking among the greatest passers ever? And how do you downplay being named to 21 All-NBA teams over the course of 20 years of sustained excellence? The fan finishes laying out his argument and essentially turns to Barkley, expecting him to somehow explain away a resume that seems impossible to top. That's the exact moment the whole atmosphere changes. Barkley takes a brief pause, on that familiar, composed expression on his face, like a professor getting ready to patiently walk a confident student through why their flawless theory isn't nearly as solid as they think.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Did you ever look at how many shots Michael Jordan took and how many shots LeBron took?
I did not.
Michael
They
Jordan.
were both gunners.
Michael Jordan took way more shots.
Well, that was his job.
You know, it's all about winning championships and winning.
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Barkley's response begins in a way the fan never expected, by showing LeBron complete respect instead of tearing him down. He immediately acknowledges the greatness, admitting those numbers are unbelievable and calling LeBron one of the best players he's ever watched. No hate, no dismissing the accomplishments. But then Barkley drops the first reality check, the detail LeBron supporters never like to bring up. LeBron came straight to the NBA at 18 years old, while Michael Jordan spent 3 seasons developing at North Carolina before ever playing a professional game. And that difference alone gave LeBron roughly a 3 to 4 year advantage right from the start. All those career totals on LeBron's resume include thousands of points, assists, and rebounds that Jordan never even had the opportunity to collect because he was still in college at the time. And then Barkley completely reframes the argument with one straightforward challenge. Instead of obsessing over lifetime totals, why not compare them based on the same number of games? That simple shift in perspective immediately exposes what big, raw numbers often hide.
So
And let me tell you something. LeBron, we compare him favorable to Magic Johnson. He's a more of a triple threat than Michael was. I'll agree with that. But let me ask you a question. I want you to be honest with me in your heart. If you had one game and you said, I need to win game 7, would you want LeBron, Michael, or Kobe in one game win all?
LeBron.
Okay.
When you line them up game for game, Jordan actually scored around 5,000 more points than LeBron. That's the equivalent of nearly 2.5 extra seasons worth of buckets. And Barkley doesn't stop there. He reminds everyone that Jordan suffered a broken foot early in his career and missed almost an entire year because of it. Then, at the peak of his prime, he stepped away from basketball for 2 full seasons to chase a career in minor league baseball. Factor those missing years back into the equation and the entire picture shifts dramatically. If Jordan had come into the NBA straight out of high school at 18, stayed injury-free and never taken that break, Barkley makes it clear. He would almost certainly be the one sitting at the very top of the all-time scoring list today.
Your love of the game is still there. I can feel it from you, right? How did that love of the game fuel your career?
It was the basis of my career. My love of the game within my contract, which, you know, I'm pretty sure most contracts now, I'm actually positive now, don't have that clause within the contract where...
You had a clause in your contract.
Love of the game contract, right, that if I was driving with you down the street and I see a basketball game on the side of the road, I can go play in that basketball game. And if I get hurt, my contract is still guaranteed. I love the game so much that I would never let someone take the opportunity for me to play the game away from me.
It might not be in the team's best interest, in your best interest, to play all 82. Is that something you thought about at all since you made the goal?
Man, that's a goal, but yeah, we'll see.
I'm available to go and be in the pro. If OBJ shows up, he might.
At that point, the fan didn't have much left to respond with. Once you factor in the extra years LeBron had, the supposed advantage he built suddenly fades away. In fact, when you look at it more closely, the numbers start leaning back in Jordan's favor. And Barkley wasn't done making his case because a brand new stat had just been brought up on Inside the NBA that even caught him off guard. This one completely dismantles the whole longevity argument. Jordan piled up 562 games with 30 or more points in only 15 seasons. LeBron, meanwhile, has played 22 seasons and sits at 559 games with 30 plus. Think about that. 7 additional years in the league, and he still hasn't passed Jordan when it comes to pure scoring outbursts. When Ernie Johnson read that number out loud, Barkley's expression told the whole story.
What's happened to the rivalries in today's game? We
don't hate each other.
That's
they don't like. See, I hated Larry and every Celtic. I really don't like you, but you're my little brother. Now I love you because you out of that green and white. That's what it was, right? You the Celtics, Lakers hate each other, disliked each other. So it made for great TV and people tuning in. And now with, I don't know if it's AAU, I don't know what it is. Now everybody's shaking each other's hand. Everybody like each other, won't go at each other like really hard. Even that's what happened to the All-Star game, see?
Yeah.
See, the All-Star
carried into the All-Star game. Right there.
See, we hated the East.
Right.
I'm coming to bust you.
Right.
Michael, Isaiah, Dr. J. You can't have one over me. See, I'm coming to get that. Now,
okay, see, Magic, this is what I
let
said.
them score 200 to 200. What is that?
Barkley didn't hold back. He flat out admitted it was incredible that someone could spend that many extra years in the league and still fall short of Jordan in that category. And when you really think about it, his reaction makes total sense. That single stat shatters the idea that playing longer automatically makes you greater. The comparison of 30-point games proves Jordan performed at a higher level on a more consistent basis. He wasn't just piling up numbers over time, he was dominating night after night in a way LeBron simply hasn't matched as often. Jordan finished his career averaging 30.1 points per game, the highest in NBA history. LeBron sits at 27.0. Jordan captured 10 scoring titles. LeBron has 1. When those figures are placed side by side, the all-time scoring record suddenly doesn't feel nearly as overwhelming. As LeBron didn't climb to the top by outscoring Jordan, he got there by playing far longer. And those are two very different accomplishments. That's the point where Barkley's argument moves beyond spreadsheets and into territory that really frustrates LeBron fans. The conversation stops being just about stats and starts focusing on how each man actually built his legacy. Jordan's championship journey took place with a single organization. The Chicago Bulls drafted him, and early on he took brutal losses to the Detroit Pistons year after year. Instead of looking for a shortcut, he stayed put, learned from the defeats, and eventually conquered them. What he created in Chicago turned a struggling franchise into the defining dynasty of the 1990s. 6 championships in 8 years with the same foundation. You are never abandoning ship when things got tough. LeBron's path was completely different. After 7 seasons in Cleveland without a title, he left for Miami to join Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh. That move reshaped the entire NBA and helped launch the modern era of superstar team-ups. When Miami's run ended, he went back to Cleveland and pushed for a trade to bring in Kevin Love. A few years later, he moved again, this time to Los Angeles to pair up with Anthony Davis. 4 franchises, 3 championships, and multiple rebuilt rosters along the way. Barkley has been consistent about how he views that history. In his eyes, Jordan is first, Kobe Bryant is second, and LeBron comes third specifically because of that pattern of team hopping and roster assembling. Julius Erving has voiced a similar opinion, even leaving LeBron out of his top 2 for the same reason. Critics always bring up Scottie Pippen as a counter-argument, but the difference is obvious. Jordan didn't recruit Pippen. The Bulls drafted him. Jordan didn't leave when the Pistons kept beating him. He stayed, fought through it, and eventually beat them. There's a massive difference between building a champion through patience and development versus handpicking co-stars through free agency and forced trades. John Starks, who battled Jordan and those Bulls teams throughout the 90s, summed it up perfectly. Jordan wanted to defeat the best, not join them. He believed he was good enough to win without stacking the deck. That mentality, proving your greatness against whoever stood in front of you, is what separates legendary competitors from strategic opportunists. After all the debating, someone finally hits the fan with the ultimate question. Forget the stats for a moment. Forget the records, Game 7, everything on the line. Who are you choosing? LeBron, Michael, or Kobe? The fan instantly answers LeBron without hesitation. And here's the irony. That response actually strengthens Barkley's point more than it helps LeBron's case. Michael Jordan never played a Game 7 in the NBA Finals, not once. 6 trips to the finals, 0 winner-take-all games, because Jordan ended every series before it could ever reach that point. 6 championships, 6 finals MIPs, a flawless record when the stakes were highest. Jordan didn't just win titles, he dominated the biggest stage the sport has to offer. Across 35 finals games, he averaged 33.6 points per game. In the 1993 finals against Phoenix, he put up an unbelievable 41 points per game for the entire series. And yes, that number is real. LeBron's finals history tells a very different story. Reaching 10 finals is an amazing accomplishment, but 6 of those appearances ended in defeat. And 3 of those losses came against the same Golden State Warriors dynasty. A 4-6 record means more losses than wins on the biggest stage, something his supporters constantly try to explain away. The common argument is that losing in the finals is better than not getting there at all, and there's some truth to that. But Jordan did get there 6 times, and he finished the job every single time. No one ever had the chance to call him a finals loser because when the moment demanded everything, he simply refused to be beaten. That's where the debate stops being about awards and resumes and turns into something deeper, competitive identity. And there's a little known detail about Jordan's era compared to today's NBA that highlights that difference even more clearly. Jordan's contracts with the Bulls included something almost unthinkable by modern NBA standards, a clause known as love of the game. What did it mean? If Jordan drove past a park and saw a pickup game, he had the right to stop, jump in, and play. No permission required. And even if he somehow got hurt doing it, his contract remained fully guaranteed. Think about that for a second. A global superstar making enormous money insisted on the freedom to play basketball whenever and wherever he wanted. That isn't normal business logic. That's pure obsession with the game. Today's league operates in the complete opposite direction. Players are restricted from risky hobbies, heavily protected by insurance policies, and monitored like priceless investments. Showing up to a random pickup game without approval in the modern NBA could lead to fines, suspensions, or worse. Everything is carefully controlled to keep stars healthy and protected for the long haul. Inside that environment, load management has become the norm. Rest days are scheduled, games are skipped. Jordan, on the other hand, played all 82 regular season games multiple times in his career. LeBron, across 22 seasons, has done that exactly once. Even more eye-opening, Jordan's final season in Washington at age 40. He suited up for every single game and averaged 37 minutes a night. That workload would lead the NBA today because no player in recent seasons has averaged that many minutes. A 40-year-old Jordan gave more effort and availability than most current stars in their physical prime. That's something no box score can ever measure. And Jordan approached every night like a personal mission to prove he was the best player on the floor. LeBron has taken a different approach, prioritizing long-term preservation, carefully choosing moments, and building greatness over time. Neither philosophy is necessarily wrong, but one path produces overwhelming dominance, while the other produces extraordinary longevity, and history has always celebrated dominance louder. What makes this even more significant is that Barkley isn't alone in his thinking. Legends from multiple generations keep reaching the same conclusion. Julius Erving placed Jordan on his all-time first team and left LeBron outside his top 2 entirely, pointing directly to the way teams were built. Stephon Marbury went even further, saying he can't put LeBron above Jordan if he doesn't even rank him ahead of Kobe Bryant. And that pushes LeBron down to 3rd place, even within his own era, and that's a tough pill for some fans to swallow. Magic Johnson has echoed a similar message for years. He believes today's NBA simply doesn't have the same competitive edge his era lived on. Back then, rivalries were real. Magic and Larry Bird didn't just compete, they hated losing to each other, and that tension fueled greatness. Modern stars, meanwhile, vacation together, collaborate on podcasts, and turn competition into friendships. The fierce personal rivalries that once defined the league have softened, and the intensity just isn't the same. There's also hard evidence showing how today's players view the debate. In a 2024 poll conducted by The Athletic asking active NBA players about the GOAT conversation, Jordan received 45.9% of the vote, while LeBron came in at 42.1%. These aren't retired veterans holding on to nostalgia. These are current players, and they still lean toward a man who last played more than 2 decades ago. That says a lot about how the basketball world truly sees things when the cameras aren't influencing opinions. When you stack the accomplishments side by side, the picture becomes clearer. Jordan, 6 championships, LeBron, 4. But the real difference shows up in the finals. Jordan went 6-0 on the biggest stage. LeBron stands at 4-6. Jordan never lost when it mattered most, not once. Regular season MVPs tell the same story. Jordan won 5 in fewer seasons, proving a higher peak. In the finals, he captured 6 finals MVPs in 6 tries. Every single championship run, he was unquestionably the best player on the floor. LeBron has 4 finals MVPs to match his 4 titles, and the contrast is obvious. Scoring titles widen the gap even further. Jordan won 10, LeBron has 1. That means Jordan finished as the league's top scorer in 10 different seasons, an unmatched level of sustained offensive dominance. defense pushes the argument even more in Jordan's favor. 9 all-defensive first-team selections compared to LeBron's 5. People forget Jordan wasn't just a scoring machine, he was also one of the greatest perimeter defenders ever. He remains the only player in NBA history to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Put it all together and it becomes overwhelming. In just 13 full seasons, Jordan delivered 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, 10 scoring titles, 9 all-defensive selections, and a flawless finals record. That resume is nearly impossible to touch. To put it in perspective, LeBron James and Kevin Durant combined have played close to 40 seasons of elite basketball, 2 generational talents, decades of greatness, and together they still don't match Jordan's totals in championships, MVPs, scoring titles, or defensive honors. That is an opinion. That's simple math. The LeBron Superfan walked up to Barkley believing raw totals would end the debate forever. More points, more assists, more seasons, more longevity. What Barkley and so many legends continue to point out is straightforward. Greatness isn't defined by how long you play. It's defined by how dominant you are when it matters most. Championships outweigh finals losses. Peak excellence outweighs career length. Jordan didn't need 22 seasons to prove his greatness. 13 years of absolute destruction were more than enough. He arrived, conquered everything in front of him, and left with a perfect finals record that modern basketball still hasn't come close to matching. LeBron James is undeniably one of the greatest players to ever step on a court. His durability, versatility, and impact on the game are historic. But when you measure him against Michael Jordan using the standards that truly define legends, titles, finals performance, peak dominance, and competitive mindset, a real separation appears. Every icon who witnessed both eras keeps repeating the same message because they experience something numbers can't fully capture. Jordan carried himself differently. He competed with a colder edge, and when the stakes were highest, so he simply refused to lose. That's why this argument still rages on decades after his final game. Jordan's shadow is so enormous that even the greatest players who followed him still struggle to step out of it. So now it's your turn. Does LeBron's longevity outweigh Jordan's unmatched peak, or does that perfect finals record close the case for good? Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button if this breakdown made sense, subscribe for more real basketball talk, and stay tuned. This conversation is far from over.